get a purifier at home. It's needed.
It is.
No matter where. You saw Ben Stokes wear a mask that day in India. So
and use inhalers.
It's needed. So we're told that we are live. It is a very important game that's just gotten over, and I hope we've got our breaking news tickers and everything ready, because there is indeed breaking news, which is Netherlands are officially out of the semi-final race.
Yep.
No matter how much you guys made fun of it and said when we discussed in the dugout that only 3 contenders, I corrected all of you. There were technically 4 contenders for the semi-final spot. Now there are 3.
Yeah. 4 E's have now come.
So how Netherlands could have qualified is if Afghanistan lost their last match to South Africa, Australia lost their last match to New Zealand lost their last match to Sri Lanka, and Pakistan lost their last match to England.
Yeah.
And Netherlands
beating
won
India
their last match versus India.
Yeah. Also whilst beating England. There are 2 in both games.
Yes, they would have qualified. Technically that possibility was there, but that's not there anymore, which means
we are now down to 3.
We're down to 3. Though, even if Netherlands would have beaten, I think they would have had to beat with a massive net run rate, because even they would have reached 8 points, and even New Zealand would have been on 8 points. So they would have still not qualified based on all the permutation combinations there. But you could still not say, what if they beat England by 200 runs and India by 200 runs? Then they could have, right? I'm just saying, technically, Netherlands are, as of now, out of the semi-final race. But the other big breaking news is, no more jokes, which is a serious issue, is the qualification for Champions Trophy. That England have got a big boost after this win, because you want to be in the top 8 teams. Actually, technically top 7 teams.
Yeah.
Because you got to take Pakistan out, being host, they anyway qualify. So 7 spots left. So you have to be in the top 7 or top 8, depending if Pakistan is already there. So that has really helped. This particular win has helped. And what this win has also done, and would like to know your thoughts, has also done is kind of shown you that the below par English team has finally woken up, and watch out Pakistan.
Watch out Pakistan on 11th. Because see, tomorrow the game between New Zealand and Sri Lanka, if it's washed out, no more mathematical permutations needed. Pakistan just have to win. Simple, against England. Because New Zealand will end up on 9. That's it. They can't go anywhere. Afghanistan, if they lose to South Africa, their campaign ends. They stay on 8.
No, but Pakistan not necessarily go through. What if Afghanistan also win their last game?
That's what I'm saying. If Afghanistan lose to South Africa on the 10th in Ahmedabad, 11th, simple. Win. Pakistan just has to win against England, even if it is by 1 run, 1 ball to spare, 1 wicket. You still do.
Then I think it's a different ball game. Even if though England is coming back into form, but if it is a situation like this, as you're saying, let's say the New Zealand game gets washed out and Afghanistan lose, and then on that 11th is when Pakistan are going to be playing England, and for them qualification is dependent on just a win, even by 1 run. Then I think no matter how much form England is shown, Pakistan will be dangerous, because they really have something to go for, chase. England, I know, would be looking again at Champions Trophy qualification, but the motivation wouldn't be that level that Pakistan would. Then I think Pakistan go through.
No, actually, if it's a simple equation of win even by 1 run, then Pakistan, at least it's an even playing field. Because in this case, you're up against an England team with nothing to lose. I know we're talking about Champions Trophy qualification. I don't think that matters as much. If they play the way they did today, 2-3 batsmen step up, and the bowlers perform the way they did, which admittedly had a lot to do with Netherlands throwing the wickets away. We know Pakistan batsmen have that as well. Also, the other thing is, if they need a result by a certain margin, then that's added pressure. Win by 200 runs, win in 30 overs. But that becomes a problem.
But I think already, if you look at it, Pakistan start as the slight favourites against England.
No, of course.
For one particular reason, I am not convinced with this England batting even now. You got out of jail today because of a Ben Stokes and a Chris Woakes partnership that was for the 7th wicket. But this was a weaker bowling lineup. a Pakistan pace bowling lineup necessarily might not be as merciful as the Dutch are today. You have Shaheen, who's doing very well. You may Mohammad Wasim Jr., who's doing incredibly well. Then Haris Rauf, but then remember, Haris Rauf, I think, has got more runs than David Warner in this ICC World Cup with the ball itself. So, it's their spin bowling that is giving me a lot of trouble. Pakistan's main weakness is spin. This England batting unit is their weakness. So, that is why it is a clash between a weak bowling lineup or weak batting lineup versus a rather mercurial spin bowling lineup that Pakistan has.
You can't even call it mercurial. I don't remember one game where the spinners have really been the standouts.
You may say against South Africa, where Usama Mir bowled really well.
Yeah, but after that he's been so poor that they're struggling. The only reason he's still in the team somehow is because Shadab got a concussion.
Yeah.
And Shadab himself was doing no great shakes.
Yes. And he conceded a lot of runs against Bangladesh also. And that's why he was dropped for the New Zealand game.
Correct.
But however, I think Pakistan, the problem with them is somewhere down the line, their consistency, even by their own mercurial standards, is not there.
Exactly.
The one person who can influence the entire outcome is Fakhar Zaman. How Fakhar Zaman takes toll of this England bowling lineup, who honestly, they don't look intimidating. Even today, Gus Atkinson, 150, hardly looked threatening. Whether he will go after Wood with that small square boundaries at the Eden, that will be a different challenge altogether.
No, I agree. Maybe Pakistan will start favourites. I agree. But also remember, if New Zealand were to win the game, because New Zealand also start favourite, if not as much, I think more so, versus Sri Lanka, then Pakistan versus England. So even if they were to win by 1 run, I don't see Pakistan that ahead of England that they win by that 130, 40, 50,
run,
whatever margin. That's not happening.
That's not happening.
Yeah, but if it was to reach the situation as you mentioned where it's a washed out game,
yes,
and then Pakistan just need to beat England, then one, they're motivated. They really have a target that they're chasing, and maybe in a team in better form compared to this English team. I agree. But what has happened? We'll ask the English expert. What has happened to this English team?
I've been trying to come up with a lot of hypotheses. I haven't been able to. The only one which I came up, and I think Siddharth and I were discussing it in the preview, is that this team peaked at the same time, 2019. All of them were at that same age. Now 4 years later, you have 8 members of that team still in the team, and all are also the same age. They peaked at the same time, and I think everyone's downfall has come at the same time. So and I know it's hard to actually kind of shuffle through talent. It's not possible, especially when that talent up till a few months back was performing. But ICC tournaments are a different beast, and maybe there was a lack of succession planning. You're seeing that now. Someone like Atkinson comes in just before the World Cup. Brook was not there, and then you're not sure because you got Ben Stokes to come out of retirement. One man who had gracefully retired moved on. You're like, no, you come back. Players appear better, but match winner, you have to come back.
But what option do you? I mean, if I was England captain, even on.
No, of course, I know. And that is fair enough. In hindsight, you can say now that maybe you should not have gone down that route. Maybe not. It did throw your team composition a little bit awry. Brook was not doing that terribly in ODI cricket also. In fact, many people were saying it would be harsh if he's made to sit out because he hasn't done anything in the World Cup, even in the chances he's got. But I think the problem has been succession planning. It's not that they don't have the talent. I just don't think they've blooded them enough. Someone like a Rehan Ahmed you talk about a lot. But you haven't seen him much in white ball cricket or even red ball cricket for that matter. You're still going with Rashid, who can be hit or miss. Again, no doubt, probably one of their better bowlers in 2022 during the T20 World Cup. But I don't think that succession planning, that transition hasn't started.
But I'm saying let's look at Ben Stokes, right? You still speak of him as one of the top players in international cricket.
100%.
Still is playing IPL and was injured. That's another matter. But is an active cricketer, captaining his test team, so on and so forth. But I'm saying players like he stepped up today, right? Got to 100. But now when the tournament is done,
exactly,
this is the Ben Stokes that needed to step up earlier.
Correct.
Glenn Maxwell did that for Australia. When did he do it? When it really mattered.
Correct.
And I think that's what is lacking, that gumption, that will, or to putting your hand up and saying, no, I'm the big player, whether you're a Butler, whether you're a Bairstow or a Ben Stokes. So there's so many of them. But if they are those big players, no matter what is happening, one of them has to say that no, I'm going to stand up for my team and do it. I think that's lacking. Whether it is got to do with the camaraderie of the team or the motivation to do well, I don't know. Or I mean, sometimes I don't know whether just leading up to this World Cup, because they were T20 champion. When you win a championship, it takes a lot. Then you have the Ashes, which takes a lot out of you. When you do all of that, then I guess you came here with having exhausted all your might and energy and focus in those two tournaments. Maybe that is something that went against them.
Quite possible. I mean, the Ashes it took a toll. It definitely took a toll on them. Then they had, right after that, and it's not like, I think England, like Australia, like India, are one of those boards that don't stop playing, generally speaking. You don't have a break. So whilst their blast and 100 and everything was going on, you were then right thereafter you had that series against New Zealand to kind of prep for this World Cup. Quite possible.
Plus I was looking at some data that they've played the least amount of ODIs getting into this World Cup. So they clearly disregarded the format as such, took it lightly, and they've had to pay a price for it.
Yeah. And whatever they played also, they were very mercurial. They were whitewashed 3-0 by Australia. They lost to South Africa also. The only success that they had was the New Zealand series that they had at home.
I will still write off the Australia series because that came 5-6 days after your crowned T20 World Cup champions, where the players themselves were admitting that we'd rather be anywhere else but here. That I'll still write off. Other ones though, in hindsight, definitely red flags.
Yeah.
Especially the South Africa thing, as you were mentioning. Because now you see how South Africa are doing.
Yep.
I mean, Joss Butler is the same guy who's previously, it's not even the conditions I can blame, that they're not used to the Indian conditions. They come and play the IPL and he's set the IPL on fire on more than an occasion. So same players not being able to just put bat to ball. I mean, this has been like the most underwhelming tournament from Joss Butler that I can remember. Memory, like I can understand good players having bad tournaments, but not as abysmal as the tournament that Butler's had. Today, I mean, I think that dismissal of Joe Root just completely sums up their campaign as such. Totally clueless. I don't know what. And again, these are those guys who have come on Indian shores before and really fought hard. Conditions have been against them. Even in test matches, they've fought hard, found a way. To go down without a fight, no stomach for a fight, that's been the biggest shock.
I mean, you look at like how Shane mentioned, collectively everyone's failed. Livingston's average just over 10. Butler's averaged only 14. Root, barring those 2 knocks in the starting of the World Cup, has miserably failed. Even in the ODIs prior to that, he's averaging just 9. That's the thing. Malan, inconsistent. One match he was good, other 2 he was bad. Then consistent, then again inconsistent. Stokes couldn't play in the first 4-5 games. Then you are wondering what to do. We've got Ben Stokes in, but he's injured. Where do you settle upon a plan B then? Where do you settle upon a composition? And at the worst possible time, most of your bowlers also lost form. Sam Curran losing form. It disrupted the balance so badly. You lost out on your gun batter, you lost out on your gun bowler as well. Remember T20 World Cup, he set them up for success.
Well, he wasn't the only one. Someone like Chris Wokes now is starting to find form, but in the first 2-3 games, he was getting hit at an economy of 8.
Mark Wood failed collectively as a unit. Adil Rashid also, remember, in all the losses where England could kind of dry up the middle overs, Rashid and Moeen didn't fire.
Moeen was out of the squad at one point. The other spinners was Rashid and Livingston. Another one who was kind of very hit or miss. It's collective failure.
But where they are, the only solace they'll take that this win is kind of good for them, because even if, as we were discussing, even if you put Pakistan slight favourites against England and assuming that England were to lose, I still see them finishing now in the top 8, because if you take a look at the points table, the teams that are below them, for example Bangladesh play Australia. So you expect Australia to win that game, which means Bangladesh stay below England on that. Sri Lanka, then assuming that, I mean, I'd put New Zealand favourite to win that, so then they stay below it. Just assume that it's a washout. They get a point. They go above, let's say, England, but then Netherlands, Bangladesh could still be those 2 teams, because Netherlands are playing India. I mean, you don't expect India to lose. So which means they still finish in the top 8. That is required for England to play the Champions Trophy.
Correct.
So in that sense, this win is a very important win for England to stay alive in that Champions.
Somewhere I think one major player of the Nagin Derby is not making it. Looking at the current situation, one major team in the Nagin Derby is not making it.
Definitely not.
Because if Sri Lanka lose to New Zealand, their net run rate takes a dip. I think it could be Sri Lanka in the chopping block. Because then for Sri Lanka to escape, they will need Bangladesh to lose very badly to
Which could happen.
Which could happen. So you're seeing either the Netherlands, because of a very bad net run rate, and Bangladesh lose out.
As things stand, that's what I'm saying. Depending, no matter what happens, England now I do not see them going below 8. So they stay, they've made it. That's important. So your last two teams, which will be not part of the Champions Trophy, are either going to be Netherlands, Sri Lanka, or Netherlands, Bangladesh. It's that. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, because Netherlands net run rate right now is already minus 1.6, and then they're up against India.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. No chance.
Yeah.
So they are there, and then it's a fight between Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. Who finishes at the 6th spot? The other is going to finish at the 7th. Yes.
So England have a player,
Sam Billings.
I think he is a perfect ODI player of its time. Why they was not picked?
No, but
in ODI.
no, the better than Sam Billings was Jason Roy.
Yeah.
You didn't even pick him. So again, I can't fault England for the team that they've picked, because if you look at that team, none of us expected them not to perform.
Correct.
How would I put Sam Billings ahead of Bairstow? I'm saying before the World Cup. I would not.
No.
Would have I put him ahead of a Butler, of Ben Stokes, or whatever, just go with the Livingston, Malan, all of them were ahead of Billings. So it's not that, now in hindsight you can say, oh, none of them have performed, you should go all Sam Billings there. The only one that I was surprised, and I said it at the start of the tournament, when I was doing SWOT analysis, and I said one thing when I was looking at anti-thing, I was like, unko Jason Roy ki high lagegi. He'll be cursing them. That bad luck 100% is the one thing that will go against them. As it turns out.
It turns out to be true.
And it was 2 straight World Cups.
Cricketing logic wise, even Shane, hardcore English supporter, cannot find too many reasons. So I think it can only be beyond cricket, and that can only be
Bad juju.
bad juju, black magic. Something is done.
To be fair, we know he's from Bengal. So.
Jashan.
Jashan Das from
Jason
Bengal.
Roy.
What was that place you
Kala
said?
Jadoo, Bengali Jadoo.
Behala. Behala. Yes.
He's cursed them.
Because see, he was dropped.
Tantrik Baba.
Shrap diya.
He was dropped in 2022 also. Their hails then actually ensured he was not.
And also Brook
missed.
also performed.
There everyone performed there.
Yeah.
Really, if you think about it, no one didn't perform in 2022. It was dodgy, but everyone stepped up. Stokes stepped up with a couple of good knocks. Like Stokes was even bowling at that point.
Yeah. Their also campaign was almost on the brink.
Yeah,
Because they had lost to Ireland. Their game against Australia got washed out.
Yeah.
So that's why they were wondering, oops, we have to really buck up here. But I just wanted to know, I think because it was 2 consecutive T20 World Cup years, in the interim, I think England did not give that much of due to the domestic 50 over cricket also, where the supply line rather dried up. Sure. Because if you look at it, I think they have the Pro 40, isn't it, that they play. I think they didn't give it that much of importance. They only wanted the blast or they wanted the 100.
100 in particular.
And remember, this time they had a dedicated window only for the 100. August. That's why the Ashes finished in July. It finished in July 31st. You had the 100. And I think most players did play the 100.
Yeah. Majority of them did.
Okay, Sharon Menokota has a point to what you were saying, Shane. You did the age analysis saying that they're all aging at the same time. Sharon here says, the age of England's squad is quite a lot. So he says anyone who says look at the new breed, just look at Australia. Most of their players are from that 2015 squad. And
except for Finch, except for Watson, the rest of the team is the same.
Clark is there still, no?
Clark's there, but I see Clark.
Richard Johnson is also there.
No, but then more of the squad, Hazelwood's there, Stark's there.
See, the bowlers are
Cummins.
but the bowlers also, this is their peak. Come 2027, if these same guys are playing, you'll be asking questions of Australia too. Actually,
but I think they have a succession plan much better than England.
100%.
But can I tell you again, see, we're all talking in hindsight. Again, I go back to the start of the World Cup. I don't think anyone really picked age as being the reason that they are not. Because what would have happened is, if age was the reason, right, they would have had that dip a year or so leading into this World Cup, and you said, oh, they're dipping, oh, but England is still sticking with them. So then you could have really, said this is that area. The signs were there. They were an aging squad. They were past their prime. But this happened all of a sudden. That's why I'm saying it's very tough to explain that these are the same guys who are playing a lot of T20 cricket and doing very well. So they clearly are not really past their peak in terms of not being able to keep pace with how fast the ODI game is moving. I think what they came here with was, one, having played a lot on true pitches, their stroke making became that. Maybe some games in Indian subcontinent and getting used to these conditions and then being able to score big, that would have helped. And sometime in these tournaments, if you don't have that, it takes you 3-4 games to get used to it by the time your tournament's done.
Correct.
Which is what happened in England's case. And sometimes, even if you've gotten used to, if you had those 3-4 bad games, from there on, you're so demotivated, then it's very tough to pick yourself and go. I think that happened. Secondly, again, I go back to that statement, Butler, don't call us a defending champion, they're aggressive. That whole mindset, trying to, pass on a statement and stamp your authority on the other team, that we're an aggressive team, all of that. I think they took it too far. And this is what I'm sure they'll realize, that if you played mature, evolved one-day cricket, as the most successful teams in this tournament is doing, they would have been better off. But you came with that plan A and didn't want to think of a plan B. And I think all of that.
Yeah, but even remember, Australia will face this situation also. Most of the squad, they do retire in bulk. Remember Shane Warne, Justin Langer, Glenn McGrath, all retired at the same time. It took them 3 years.
That transition was not easy.
Or not easy, but luckily they had a Mitchell Johnson, they had a Stark, they had a Siddle, they had a Ryan Harris. But after maybe Hazelwood goes, Cummins go, they're all the same age. So Stark. Who's the next? Maybe a Michael Neser.
But even Neser's been around a while.
Yeah, but even then, who after Nathan Lyon? Maybe a Matthew Kuhneman or a Todd Murphy. But again, Murphy, in this era of basketball, maybe his confidence will take a big dip.
Kuhneman maybe would be a better shot.
But then who are the pacers? That's the next big thing. So that's why. Tanmay Joshi is saying, if New Zealand beat SL, then there can be a scenario where if Pakistan win by a margin for NRR in semis, then England might lose on top 8 also. That's true.
No. If New Zealand beat Sri Lanka, no.
No, he's talking about Pakistan. Pakistan beating England. England go to the top 8.
No, they can't, because
They're going to be hammered.
Yeah, you would have to beat England. But for Pakistan to qualify, they need like a margin of 130 runs. If it's just one run victory for New Zealand, it's.
Yeah.
I doubt that is.
You are only, if there is a Kudrat ka Nizam, you have to pray it pours in Bangalore tomorrow and you don't get any action.
Or better yet, what happened with the Pakistan-New Zealand game, no? It rains at a time when Sri Lanka is slightly ahead in this thing. Something like that.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand are behind,
but
one or the other.
Actually, people are talking about the fact that, New Zealand lost to Pakistan, but look at the margin. It was just 21 runs. It didn't boost their net run rate at all in that sense.
That was the problem.
A 21 run win rather than chasing it down in 40 overs, that could have boosted their net run rate in a big way.
The problem is that was not have been possible because they were chasing 400.
Exactly.
400 itself pretty much dealt one blow to their chances, because if they were chasing 250, you can still say you'll get that in 35 overs. How do you get 400 in 35 overs? Not possible.
Not possible. But then the way how they're going out to those small boundaries of the Chinnaswamy, that could have happened.
They could have chased it in maybe 42,
43 overs.
Very generous.
Yeah. But it didn't help their net run rate,
Yeah,
the New Zealand game. It just gave them 2 points. Now they are on a prayer that the New Zealand-Sri Lanka game must be washed out. Then no NRR comes into play whatsoever. You win, you're through. You lose, you're out. As simple as that. Provided Afghanistan also lose to South Africa, which is on 10th. Ashish Dhar is saying, Ranji Dulip Trophy name Ajay Jadeja's relatives.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Ranjit Singh Ji, Dulip Singh Ji.
Yeah, it is named after Ranjit Singh Ji, the Ranji Trophy. So he's not the direct lineage, but he comes from the same family. So his father's side are cousins of the direct Ranjit Singh Ji. Yeah, the thing. And so there are like the same family, the same royal family. Ajay comes from that. They're all from what's that place? Not Junagadh. I forget the name of the place where they're from.
It isn't Saurashtra though, that
No,
place.
yeah, it is. I mean, my parents have stayed there. I just forgotten the Jamnagar. Now I remember. You don't have to do it. Jamnagar. So they're from Jamnagar. So the same royal family Ajay comes from. The interesting story, because he mentioned, so Ranjit Singh ji, the interesting story is that I mean, I may get slight details wrong because I'd heard it long ago, but he was the heir apparent, right? So he was then either adopted or from the first wife or something like that, and then he remarried, and then the second wife said when they had their own kids that send him to England, send him away to study.
Oh yeah.
And then he was sent, but once he went there, he started staying with the English and picked up cricket, and then became such a big personality. When he came back, it actually worked in his favor that he was sent to London, and he came back as a much larger than life sort of a figure from England. I mean, he was very well educated at that time, and then from there on, then he became the heir because of his exposure and everything that he got. So,
but he played for England, right?
Yes. So
He and Dulip also.
I think so. Yeah. So I mean, that's the story which I had heard from members of that family once. Ajay is related to them. Yeah.
So we've had 3 royal patronages when you look at it. Nawab of Patodi, I mean Tiger Patodi from the house of Patodi. Then you've got Jamnagar, Ajay Jadeja and all, and then even Raj Singh Dungarpur from the house of Dungarpur.
Yes. But that way, there'll be. I mean, it all started from Vazinagar.
Vizianagaram.
Exactly.
Vizianagaram. Patiala also. Maharaja
Patiala, was a big time patron. Yes. So I mean that. I mean earlier, if you read Ram Guha's book, The Corner of a Foreign Field, I remember reading the first few. I mean, I read it long ago, but I still remember the initial chapters of how cricket came out. It used to be like the Indian team was effectively like one big Raja would collect the best players that he would hear about, bring them together and effectively sponsor their trip. So you needed money to board a ship and go there, and then money to stay there and eat, and he would sponsor them. And that would be the Indian team. There was no selection. It's just that though he would try to speak to people, somebody will say there's a good player there. He said, okay, bring him. He'd collect the team, and that is how it was sent. Much before BCCI effectively came.
In the modern era that I'm talking about. Let's say the 60s after independence, we got Tiger Patodi, then we got but did Raj Singh Dungarpur, I think he was a first class cricketer.
Yes, he played first class cricket
for Rajasthan.
For India. From Rajasthan. There are other, because you're talking about the Patodis, Abbas Ali Beg, who played for India, is related, so also part of that royal family. Saad bin Jung, again from that same family, played first class cricket. So, I mean, in those days, a lot of I think Hanuman Singh is also related to somewhere to a royal family.
What is it? Even ML Jaisima, Hyderabad.
Could have been. Again, I'll have to find out. But there would be a lot of connections as such.
Karthik K from
today's team, we have King Kohli and
Talking about blue blood, my friend.
Actual royalty.
Not blue men in blue.
Okay.
Anybody from the England team, if you have to look at it, directly linked to royalty who played?
I don't know.
Any sport for that matter.
Olden days, there would have been someone. Not now. Although most people, it's in most countries, especially England, it's very much a posh sport. So anyone who's coming has always come private schools and whatnot.
Football was a common man sport, and cricket was the posh sport. The rich played. The Sahab, the Afsar. What was that guy's name?
Captain Russell. Gore Saabs. Karthik K from the US. England invented cricket, rest of the world plays well. Baseball, same fate.
Good point.
Good point,
True, good point.
Indeed. Any other?
Most of the sports are invented by the English actually.
Rugby, you look at it. Football, you look
Another
at
All
it.
the
Specific
Americans
better.
did is just copied those sport and just added their masala and made their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, like rugby they made into American football.
football.
Cricket they made into baseball.
Yeah.
Just took
The
stuff.
basketball might be their own.
No, basketball is their sport. Basketball was actually born at a YMCA hostel. I'd read somewhere. So it was some YMCA professor who came up with this idea, got a ring up there, and I mean, of
In
course,
fact, back then it
evolved.
wasn't even a ring, it was literally an actual basket. So every time someone shot one, you'd have to get a ladder to bring the thing out.
Something like that.
Wow.
And of course, it evolved over time with rules, but it was.
Yeah.
I know that it started at the YMCA,
Yeah, no.
and a couple more sports actually. That
I mean, look at sports like Indica. It's basically
Yeah,
dumbed down
Formula
Formula One.
Yeah.
they copy it. They just copy a British sport or European.
F1 was not a British sport.
No,
it
no,
was
it's
Italian, I
European,
guess.
European.
But
Yeah.
but a lot of its base does come from England.
Yeah.
No, actually, majority of influence is English.
Yes.
Now
Most
also-
teams are based out of England.
Still
Barring
are.
Ferrari.
Still are.
Yeah.
There may be two teams now which aren't based out of this thing. One is Ferrari and the other is, funnily enough, Haas. Because they're American. That's it.
What about Mercedes? That's German.
Brackley,
No,
but they're based in Brackley. No?
Brackley, okay.
McLaren are in
Woking.
Woking.
Renault is France.
Then
but-
Milton
but-
Keynes is Red Bull.
Milton Keynes. But even Renault, there are two teams, or that base is in England, Edstone and Viry.
Okay.
So a lot of these teams will end up taking bases in England because it's just much easier.
Easier.
The only, that's what I'm saying, Ferrari are one team, Alpha Tauri until recently also were only based out of Italy. So, but a lot of these teams will only be UK based.
Yep.
It's very common.
What about hockey?
Hockey.
Also British.
Yeah, could
Yeah,
be a British sport.
British sport.
I know that badminton was born in India, in Pune, in fact.
Yes.
But it is again a British sport. So the
The
Sahab.
name comes from there only.
Yeah. Yeah.
Earl of Badminton, if I'm not mistaken, something
I
of that
think
sort.
so.
Yeah.
So it was initially, if I'm not mistaken, called Pune or something like that. The game was called that. Yeah, and then it evolved to become badminton. Yeah, but again, the same sahabs in the cantonment.
Billiard, snooker also is a.
Yeah.
They're very creative with their naming. So, for instance, have you ever wondered why sandwich is called a sandwich?
No.
Because it was invented by the Earl of Sandwich. True story. That's why it's
Earl.
called a sandwich.
Earl of Sandwich.
Yeah, the Earl was a notorious gambler.
That reminds me, a friend of mine told me, but I didn't believe. A
Yeah.
hamburger
Yeah.
is called a hamburger. Why?
Because it was invented in Hamburg.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know
Germany.
That. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's not because it's
Because
made
I
in
always
Hamburg.
thought it was an American
No, it's
food.
made in
So I was like,
Hamburg.
it couldn't
yeah.
have been in Germany because it's such an American.
It's Hamburg.
food.
Hamburg,
It actually
Hamburg.
came from
Yeah,
Hamburg.
correct,
Yeah, I
correct,
didn't know
correct.
that. I thought maybe either it had something to do with ham, but mostly because I always thought it's an American invention. So I was like, why would Germany be there? It's such an American thing, but it's not. America has popularized it.
Yeah.
But
America
it's
is
a
known for inventing French fries.
No, America didn't invent it. It was invented by a Belgian chef.
Oh yeah, but then I think
correct, Belgian fries.
yeah,
right?
I thought America patented it. Yeah.
America popularized even pizzas. Like,
Yeah, but
pizzas
so
were
Italian
thing.
creation.
Correct.
Yeah.
But to be fair, those were a lot of Americans of Italian origin. So they started,
Yes.
popularizing it, and then
In America, yeah.
that's what happened. I mean, what America is a mix of a lot of European populations,
Cultures,
so-
yeah.
which is why. Okay, quick
Last two super chats. Park at Eden or New Zealand at Wankhede? End preference? अरे किसी को भी लाओ यार.
Bring it on.
No, but if you ask me, I'd take Park at Eden. Then New Zealand market. I agree. India favorite no matter what.
Yep.
But Park at Eden, I think India have a better chance of beating Park than New Zealand. They have a better chance of. I mean, percentage wise, they will start favorite versus New Zealand versus Park. But if given a choice, you ask me one, I'll say Park, because I think recent past, the kind of dominance India's had over Pakistan is different. New Zealand, you had a kind of a tricky game with them.
Yeah.
You never know. It's a team that has got a lot of runs, and they got 400 the other day versus Pakistan. And even though the Indian bowlers are doing well, but this is the only team that's got runs against the Indian team also.
Yeah, 273.
And on a day where they had two collapses, their top order collapse and their lower middle
order
collapse.
collapse,
Yet got that much.
Yep.
So.
Samadhan Thorve is like saying, in batting, footwork is really needed.
Some of them we spent time talking about it yesterday after Maxwell's thing. But I tell you, yes, it is. And I'll tell you why. I'll give you certain reasons. In red ball cricket, 100%, because the ball does a lot, it will make a difference. Also remember, if Maxwell was batting against the new ball, it would have been different. Thirdly, when he may have been batting with a slightly newer ball, his feet were moving, and he does require. And fourthly, by the time he stopped using his footwork, he had also got his eye in. So many things happened. One, with the ball not doing much, in that situation, you could do away without the footwork, right?
Yep.
Because it's not swinging that much to trouble you. Secondly, you have already got your eye in. Had he started off with his innings like that, I don't think it would have been as easy for him to smack without using his feet.
Correct.
He had got his eye in. You know, when a batsman, when he's past 40, 50, you are seeing the ball really well, you know, accustomed to the condition. That's when you can just play through the line. So all of that has to be put in. So I find it hard to believe that you don't need footwork. You definitely do, sir.
Karthik K with the last super chat.
He's back.
Yeah. Don't care if it's copied, Karthik K is saying. Still love NFL and American sports to bits. Basketball was invented in Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, I said at a YMCA.
YMCA.
Yep.
Yep.
American sports do have their charm, for the most part.
Kho-Kho is an Indian
Kabaddi.
sport. Kabaddi is an Indian sport. Yeah.
Yep.
Gilli Danda.
Technically, yes.
I played. Have you guys played?
I know.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
I played as a kid.
Definitely not. Why?
Go.
Why not I think? Why play?
No, I asked because some people won't have.
गोरे लोग इको पतलून पहन के क्रिकेट बोलते हैं, हम लंगोट पहन के गिली डंडा. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, guys, thank you for your company. Tomorrow, you know, your one-stop destination, Sports Today, as always. Big match. We've already got a weather update for you. Has it been put?
It will be put after this. It will be put.
Okay.
We put it on interview.
Chess is a game invented in India. That's true.
Yes.
True that,
Good call.
It was
good
called
call.
Chaturangam.
Yes, good call. Yes, Piyush Nandre,
Yes.
good call. Bye. Take care. Good night.
Nandri.